Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Audits and Risk Management Committee. For the benefit of the board, the reason we are taking roll call votes is because this meeting was noticed as teleconference. So we're not supposed to do without objection. We have to even do roll call on agenda. So let's take roll and then we will do the agenda.
For the Director of Finance, Ms. Whitaker.
Here.
For the State Controller, Mr. Oppenheim.
Here.
For the State Treasurer, Mr. Ruffino.
Present.
For the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Mr. Patterson.
Present.
Chairperson Bradford, you have a quorum?
Thank you. I believe you have notes to read.
Yes. The CalSTRS board meetings are live web streamed, video archived, and available to the public on calstrs.com. Individuals who wish to address the board should wait for the 10-minute public comment period at the end of the agenda item the speaker wishes to address. For comments not pertaining to a specific agenda item, there will be an opportunity for additional statements at the end of the open session. Each speaker is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to comment. However, if there is not enough time for each speaker to have 3 minutes, the timing will be at the discretion of the chair. To protect the privacy of speakers under the age of 18 who wish to address the board, only their first name and affiliated organization may be provided, but other personal identifying information such as their last name, age, or school may not be shared.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item number 1, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
And I believe we're going to do a roll call vote.
Ms. Whitaker.
Aye.
Mr. Oppenheim.
Aye.
Mr. Ruffino.
Aye.
Mr. Patterson.
Aye.
Chairperson Bradford, would you care to vote?
Yes, and yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. With the agenda approved, that brings us to the consent agenda, action item number 2. Do we need to approve each of those separately for the consent agenda, or can we approve the consent agenda as?
You can do it together, yeah.
We can do it together? Okay. I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 2 and 3. No. Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Thank you.
Ms. Whitaker. Aye. Mr. Oppenheim. Mr. Ruffino.
Aye.
Mr. Patterson.
Aye.
Chairperson Bradford.
Yes and yes. And that brings us to item number 4, action item, revisions to the ARM policies, first reading. And welcome, Cheryl and Julie.
Yep. We're under this one, yeah, because I did that one. Good afternoon. This agenda item is requesting your input and approval for the revisions that we identified to the audit and risk management policies. So I just want to give you a high level. The last time it was updated was in 2005, but doesn't mean it wasn't reviewed, just the last time it was updated. So we did a thorough review and made some updates, really for consistency, clarity, and to keep it current. So we used the audit standards, made sure it was updated with those references, updated terminology to be consistent, changed it from policies to policy. And one of the bigger change I would call to your attention is that we removed the opportunity for the independent financial statement auditor to prepare financial statements. Julie's team does that, and we want to maintain that independence, so we remove that out of the allowable services. So essentially, for an auditor to be independent, the external financial statement auditor, it's really important that they don't take the role of management. They're not auditing their own work. So we just, with that foundation, that's how we use that as we went through the policy. So happy to answer any questions unless Julie has anything to add. No? Okay.
Sorry. I do not see any questions. However, my question is there a reason we need to bring this back for a second reading, or can we approve it today? And that's what I was going to ask Dr. Yatman. So no, we can. Okay, if the committee wishes, we could make a motion and approve this today.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Christopher?
Ms. Whitaker.
Aye.
Mr. Oppenheim.
Aye.
Mr. Ruffino.
Aye.
Mr. Patterson.
Aye.
Chairperson Bradford.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And I'm sorry, were there any public comments on item number 4?
There are no public comments for this item.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Information item number 5, our 2024-25 audit plan results and audit services update.
Yes, so this is an information item, and we do this every year. For those that are new to the ARM Committee, we present our results of our audit plan each year. And here with me today, I have Chris Wall, who will talk about the employer audits results. And then a new face for internal audit results is Marlene Noss. She's the new Assistant of Internal Audits. She has a variety of leadership and audit experience with 2 of the largest pension systems, which is CalSTRS and CalPERS. So welcome,
Hi,
Marlene.
and welcome.
I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chris to start with the employer audit results.
All right, well, thank you for having us today. So I want to start out by saying at the beginning of the audit plan, we mentioned that we were going to try to complete 110 audits this year. Well, I'm pleased to announce that we actually exceeded the goal by completing 112 audits. Out of the 112 audits that were completed, there was approximately 64,000 members that were covered by those employers. And then in that audit plan, we identified 175 new audit findings for this year. And as you can see by the 2 charts here, this provides kind of a breakdown of the different types of employers that were audited this year. It also shows us a breakdown of the types of audits that were completed in this audit plan. And out of the 175 audits that were completed, this chart shows a breakdown of how each one of those were classified and what types of findings they were. As you can see, the most relevant findings are salary, where the most common audit findings really related to additional assignments that were incorrectly reported as salary, and retroactive adjustments that were not reported correctly. The other area that really was significant is for non-creditable compensation. And here there's really a few different types of findings that were really prevalent. The first is like a lump sum payments for PEPRA members that were reported. There's also inconsistent treatment of employees in a group or class. And finally, there's some types of different compensation that weren't approved by the employer's board. And then CalSTRS has a comprehensive audit resolution process where the audits resolution teams works with the employer to resolve the audit findings, and then our employer audits team validates that those findings have been correctly resolved. The goal is always to validate audit findings within 1 year, but we do understand that sometimes they can take longer. And in this past audit plan, 149 findings have been resolved, and that leaves us to 205 findings that are still in progress. 106 of those are from the current audit plan, so those are included in the 175 that are new this year. However, the remaining 99 are over a year old. 65 of the audits, and we're really, in an effort to be transparent, we are including information on how long the findings have been open if it takes more than 1 year to resolve the audit findings. And as you can see, 65 of the findings are 1 to 2 years old. Those aren't a huge concern because with AB 1667, some of the employers that we deal with are very large, and they do have a lot of members, and now they're required to identify all impacted members that are impacted by a finding. And so having some of those take longer than a year isn't really all that surprising. However, some of the ones that are over 2 years old, those we're trying to put a process in place to identify those and try to get them resolved. And we're currently working with the audits resolution team on a process for that. But right now there are several that are over 2 years old. One of the things we are implementing going forward is if there are certain schools or certain employers that are over a year old or over 2 years old, it's possible that we may be auditing them again in the coming year. And in this upcoming year, we are auditing one of those particular employers. That should be it. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Marlene for the internal audit results.
Thank you, Cheryl. So we completed our fiscal year. Is there an echo? Okay, we completed our fiscal year audit plan except for 2 contracted investment audits, and those will be completed and reported to you in November. And as a result of the audits completed, there were 25 new audit findings as shown here on this slide. And most findings identified were evenly distributed among the categories listed there, with the exception of governance. Governance findings are primarily about enhancing policies and processes to support decision-making. So this doesn't mean that there was no governance, but there were areas for opportunities for improvement. This is our audit plan coverage here, and these are our audits and advisory engagements and how they align with our organization's strategic goals and enterprise risks. So as of June 30, 2025, there were 11 unresolved findings that were over a year old. So we evaluated the reason for the delays, and most were due to the implementation of new processes or systems. We also validate that the corrective action remediates the risk associated with the audit findings, and we always work with the business areas to obtain status updates until the findings are resolved.
Lastly, as I think I mentioned before, I wanted to create transparency about some of the performance measures we have. So in audits, we have various performance measures, but there's one that we do after every audit related to surveying our clients on their satisfaction. I just kind of want to give you a heads up because it can be a little misleading. So as you saw, Chris's team does 112, so they have a lot more population to pull from on their survey results than internal audits does. And then also I wanted to mention that these satisfaction ratings are based on agrees and strongly agrees. So if a client is neutral, it won't help our scores at all. So I'm going to show you, I say that because as I show you this, 85% in 24, pretty, 2020 was really good, but I mean, you see our trend. And then more detail is in the agenda item packet, and then internal audits was 73. Again, those are the ones who feel strongly about their satisfaction of the audit process. And I kind of just liken it to going to the dentist. Who gets all excited about going to the dentist, right? But we know it's important for us to do. There's also a fine line with satisfaction in the sense that we use it because we want to improve. We continually want to improve, so we take it and we see, are there areas? If they're feeling neutral, is there something we can do to make that a little bit more positive experience for them? So we do look at it that way. On the other side of it, though, is if you're going to have, we don't want to discourage it from the auditors creating findings if they see it. So we've got to maintain that independence and objectivity. And that's really all we have. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Just have a quick question regarding the audit service long-term plan. The long-term plan includes strengthening relationships with stakeholders to build trust and transparency. What specific metrics or examples can you share that demonstrate progress in this area so far?
Well, first thing I did was I asked my team, my leadership team, not just myself, to have a stakeholder relationship plan. So I already do that. I meet with executives and directors, but I wanted my team to be creative and think of other ways they can build those relationships and let people know that we're around and that we're here to support. And we're all here for the same mission, right, for the teachers. The other item is that I wanted to do is, we haven't started yet, but to do more of a survey that's broader than just after the engagement. And then and that'll probably happen after we do our roadshow, but I have a presentation where I can inform why do audits exist, and really take some of that fear of an audit. The word audit usually brings fear, right? So to try to reduce that fear, explaining that we're all creating that are for the same mission. And it's, again, I go back to my dentist example, sorry, but I go to the dentist even though I don't like to get my teeth cleaned, right? I don't even like that, but I know in the end it's going to protect my teeth. Same thing, right? So it's a process. Sometimes sometimes I have to get a cavity filled, right? So there's a remediation that's needed. So I'm trying to reduce that stress and then also make them aware that we're available for advisory services. And it's not a bad thing to have an audit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I cannot stress enough how critical and important is this area in light, of what we're going through. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So first off, if I remember correctly, exceeded your goal of employer audits, correct? So you did 112. Can you remind me what the goal was?
The goal was 110 audits, and then
Oh,
we
and-
completed
okay,
112.
great.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So good job on exceeding that. One thing that I'm thinking about, and I just want to make sure that you all are thinking about, is looking ahead when Pension Solutions comes. The audit procedures will likely need to be updated or changed, and so if you guys are already thinking about that. And also the skill set of the individuals who are completing the audits may not have those necessary skill sets. And so I noticed, kind of to Frank's point on the long-term plan indicators, is about training staff. And so I was just curious if you can talk about how you're looking at changing the policies and procedures and audit procedures to include pension solutions in your audit plan, and also how are you training the staff to be able to do these audits? Because I'm guessing you're not going to be able to exceed your goal the first few years of doing pension solution audits. Thank you.
I'll go first and let Chris take it on as well. It's a great subject. So we talked about pension solution implementation of Benefit Connect. So with the 120, right? I said if things change and we can't meet it, we'll come before the ARM committee. But Chris did get a head start and said, let's go out and get as many as we can get done now. So he loaded them up and they went out to the field to get started. And then they're also all taking the training that's to help them get familiar with the system. And then one thing I could say that I really admire about Chris is when there's anything going on that's changing, this is a big change, I know, but he's out there, he's calling meetings, and they're walking through and getting input from the whole team. So it doesn't wait a week before they're all meeting to discuss the changes. So I have every faith that if something does, when there are bumps in the road, that he'll be addressing those.
Yeah, so one good thing about the change is it's not going to impact us immediately. The reason being is because we are auditing what's already been reported. So fortunately, we get a little bit of a grace period before it's going to impact us, but it's definitely coming. So we do have a data solutions team that we've started on our side that's really been helping look into the Benefit Connect and the changes that are coming out. How is payroll going to be reported differently? Is there things that we need to be aware of as we move forward with auditing? Because we do know they're coming, and we don't know exactly what to expect until we really start seeing live data coming through. So we fortunately, with this new data solutions team that we do have, they're going to be a step ahead of us in trying to figure out what's being reported, and then they're going to report it back to us so that we can provide that training. And fortunately, we do have dedicated people, because in the past we haven't always had that can look proactively at what's coming. But yeah, we fully intend to be able to implement that. We'll see what's changing. And of course, as we need, we'll make changes to our audit plan. But we're already looking at how is that going to change our audit plan. And we know there's certain things in the report, terminology, different things that are going to have to be changed. There's some changes to the audit plan that are going to have to take place. So we're well aware of it, and we're working towards that.
So I have a question about the outstanding audits that are the aging ones. Can you give a couple of examples of why those are still outstanding?
Yeah, absolutely. The largest one, which I'm sure you've noticed because it is quite a bit larger, older than the others, it's a large agency. There's some issues going on with it. But I would say part of the problem is it took place prior to AB 1667. Now that law is around, employers are now required to provide the impacted member list within 60 days and start working to resolve the audit findings. At the time where we conducted the audit, that wasn't there. So now we still don't have that impacted member list for that old audit. And that's why we're going to be auditing that employer again, because now once we do audit them, they'll be covered by that law, and they'll be required to provide the impacted member list, where our audits resolution team will then be able to start resolving it. And so we're hoping that fixes the problem, but that's the oldest one. The others are various reasons, but some of them are very large agencies that are impacted, and that's one of the reasons they're getting older. And then there's just various small reasons why some of the other ones aren't quite resolved yet, but that oldest one, that's why.
Okay, I assumed it was not our staff, but I wanted to just hear what the possibilities were. Thank you. Dr. Yatman, do you have anything to add?
That was exactly the right. Bob Yatman, your For the members I don't know, welcome. My name is Bob Yetman. I am your external consultant to the board. I'm not staff. I work for you exclusively for you. Welcome. That's a great question, and here's why. Because a finding that's outstanding for 5 or 6 years, that's the exact question the board should be asking is what's up with this? And as Chris noted, if it wasn't for this new law, those wouldn't still be outstanding. They wouldn't be there. But because now they have to expand the scope to include everyone, then all of a sudden now this is outstanding. So it looks like, oh gosh, they're not following up, they're not doing what they should. That's not the case. They just need a chance to catch up, to roll in all these results that they had before. Marlene, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be
Very
here.
excited to have you in that chair.
Thank
Yay.
you.
There was one thing I wanted to, yes, Member Rufino, great question. It's a tightrope balance, right? You need the trust of staff, because if staff trusts the auditor and knows you're not going to beat them over the head with a club every time you get a finding, they're far more likely to use you as a source of assistance and come to the auditor and say, I messed something up or something's not right. What can you do to help us fix it if they trust you? But at the same time, the auditor needs to remain fully independent and responsible and reportable to you, the board. And so it's a fine line to walk. And your director does a nice job an excellent job trying to walk this tight line. I tend to err on the side of being frosty, being an auditor, and saying I don't want you to be happy when I walk into the room. I want you to be a little nervous. But at the same time, you need to have a relationship with staff where they trust you. And I believe that comes from competence. If they know you're competent and they know you know your job, then staff knows that you're not coming in there to find something wrong. You're just trying to help the organization run better. So we're all on the same page with that ultimate goal. And that's what happens. So, right, you pay me to advise you, my eyes see that is actually happening. So it's a great question, and I think your director is doing a great job with that.
Great, thank you. Are there any public comments on item 5?
There are no members of the public in the queue for item 5.
Great, thank you so much. That brings us to item number 6, Compliance and Ethics Hotline Report.
Afternoon. I'm Lynn Bashaw. I'm the Director of Enterprise Risk Management and Compliance Services. With me is Megan Dean, Senior Manager of Compliance. We're here to present the annual CalSTRS Compliance and Ethics Hotline Report. This is an information item. So in support of CalSTRS culture of compliance and ethics, this anonymous reporting hotline was established in early 2020. It provides a place to anonymously and confidentially report ethics concerns or potential compliance violations. Some examples of ethics or compliance issues that someone could report through this hotline are pension abuse, conflicts of interest, or policy violations. If you want to know how to file a report, there's lots of different ways. You can call the hotline, you can go on the website. Employees can also make a report through our intranet. This slide shows the number of reports that we've received per fiscal year. You'll notice that as awareness of the hotline has increased, so has the number of reports. However, in fiscal year 24-25, it started to level off. In my opinion, we are still receiving a healthy number of reports, and this indicates a strong culture of compliance. This slide shows the types of reports we received last fiscal year, with other being the most used category. The other category is largely made up of member service reports, and in a few slides, Megan's going to talk about that. Conflicts of interest and pension abuse reports were the next most reported categories. This slide shows the outcomes of the cases for the last fiscal year. You'll see 7 cases are still in progress. And you'll note that many of the cases are referred to other business area, which mostly includes referrals to member service or human resources. I'm going to pass it over to Megan.
Hello. So I want to highlight some of the enhancements we've made to the hotline since we last reported. So as of July 2025, our reporting categories in the hotline have been enhanced to make the reporting process easier. The hotline categories were created in 2019, and as the compliance program matures, we want to ensure our operations also continuously improve. We've worked across the organization and with General Counsel's office to enhance our categories for ease of use, plain language, and reporting transparency. In addition to these changes, we've created a new category for customer service and account questions or concerns. In the past, those concerns went into that other category bucket. So we've added this to help us better categorize customer service related concerns. We want to provide a place that members can report and ensure that the data is reflective of the actual concerns. And I'm pleased to share several key accomplishments that reflect our focus on the maturity of the compliance and ethics program. Since 2020, employee awareness of the Compliance and Ethics Hotline has steadily increased in the all-staff survey from 57% to 85% in 2025. This reflects our commitment to staff awareness and building a culture where speaking up is encouraged and supported. We've also strengthened the Code of Ethics and Business Conduct by enhancing the hotline reporting section, and we developed an annual confidentiality and training requirement for hotline case managers. Finally, we partnered with business areas to clarify and refine our hotline categories. And this included developing clear definitions and real-world examples to improve consistency. This will be used to help staff better understand how to report concerns and recognize scenarios that they may encounter in their day-to-day work. And I want to take a moment to give a special thank you to our compliance specialist, Elisa Franco. Her dedication and attention to detail has been key to achieving all of these things that are listed on the screen here this year. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll hand it back to Lynn to talk about next steps.
We never stop improving. Green, there we go. We never stop improving. So as part of our continuous improvement efforts, some of our next steps include additional staff education on the functionality and purpose of the hotline. That concludes our presentation, and we're available for any questions.
Okay, Dr. Yetman, I don't see any questions. Did you have anything to add?
Just super quick. Megan, you've done a nice job with this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's increasing, getting up to 85 is wonderful, right? And then the next step will be not only do they know about it, but do they know exactly what it's for, how it functions, and then getting that number up. I mean, ideally 100%, that's probably a non-achievable goal, but it should be a goal, and I know that is your goal. Could you take maybe just a few seconds, because I know you've done more to get that other category shouldn't be there, right? We all know that. And I know you've done more to try to maybe pop-up windows or something. What have you done to help someone who comes to the portal and says, I want to file, I have something I'm upset about, I want to report it, and maybe the hotline's where I go, and so they show up at the hotline, but really what they have is an other, maybe a human resources question. And I know you've worked hard to try to tease that out so that it's really, the hotline is there for its intended purpose. So can you just you've worked hard on this. Can you take just a couple seconds to share with the board what you've done?
Sure. So in preparation for Pension Solution right now, we actually have a pop-up on the hotline. So if you visit it and you're looking for member service, it actually redirects you to to contact the customer service center. So that's one of the things, and that was also in support of Ombuds. And you see it here on the continuous improvement efforts to implement and launch the Ombuds report modification. That was part of those modifications. So we've definitely done that, but we always have the hotline listed in our Contact Us section on CalSTRS.com because we want to make sure that members feel like they can go there if they need to. And I think the creation of the new category will definitely help with that.
Are there any, sorry, were you going to say something?
I was going to wait until after public comment, but yeah.
Are there any public comments on item 6?
There are no members of the public in the queue for item 6.
Chair Bradford, if you would indulge me for just a minute, I wanted to hand it off to Cassandra. She has a staff acknowledgement that she would like to do.
Thank you, Len, and thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to take a moment to recognize and express our appreciation for Phil Burkholder, Assistant Director of Enterprise Risk Management, who will be retiring at the end of this month. Phil, if you wouldn't mind standing, I want to recognize you fully. Phil began his public service journey 31 years ago at the State Auditor's Office. Since joining CalSTRS in December of 2004, he has made a lasting impact, especially over the past decade, as the leader of our Enterprise Risk Management Program. Throughout his 20 years at CalSTRS, Phil has held a variety of key roles, including Manager of Accounting Division's Special Projects Team, Director of the Pension Accounting Initiative, and most recently, Assistant Director of the Enterprise Risk Management, where he's been a familiar and trusted voice before the board. Some of Phil's most notable contributions include leading the Pension Accounting Initiative, which laid the foundation for the successful implementation of our financial system, Business Direct, in 2013, guiding CalSTRS' response to GASB's post-employment benefits exposure draft. Phil not only led the technical analysis, but also coordinated our formal public response and ensured clear communication with the board and stakeholders. In building and maturing the Enterprise Risk Management Program from the inception in 2014 into the robust organization-wide framework that we rely on today to identify, manage, and report enterprise-level risks. Phil's dedication, leadership, and steady presence have left an indelible mark on CalSTRS. His career is a testament to the power of public service and the difference one person can make. Please join me in celebrating Phil Burkholder for a remarkable career and a well-earned retirement.
Congratulations, Phil, and I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Ruffino.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would like to present Phil with a certificate from the treasurer. So let me quickly read, and then I'm going to come down in the dais, and I'm going to invite you to come up so we can give it to you. But essentially, California State Treasurer congratulates Phil Burkholder on the occasion of his retirement from state service. On behalf of the state of California, I hereby award this certificate of recognition in honor of Phil Burkholder's 31 years of service to the state of California and his dedication to the California State Teacher Retirement System as the Assistant Director of Enterprise Risk Management. Thank you for your leadership, commitment to excellence, and tremendous service to the Golden State's teachers, their families, and the people of the state of California. Congratulations and best wishes for continued success. Fiona Ma, California State Treasurer. And if you don't mind coming up, I'm going to hand it to you, the certificate from the treasurer.
Is someone taking a picture? Photo op, turn around. Okay, that brings us to information requests. I don't believe we had any. Item number 8 is draft agenda for the next meeting. Is there anything you wanted to highlight?
Just a couple of things. This is the time of the year when we have the financial statement, so that'll be the bulk of that meeting. We also will be having a consent item for the scope of work for the financial consultant. So Dr. Yetman's contract expiring in June, so we need to get that up and running for the RFP process. And then, of course, Lynn will speak to her enterprise risks. That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any statements from the public?
We do have one statement from the public for item 9. If we could have a 3-minute timer, please. Okay, our first caller will be Eva. Eva, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak today. My name is Eva Beck. I am the daughter of Robert Richard Beck. He was a devoted educator and proud member of the large CalSTRS family. I'm here today coming to you with humility and a humble, heartfelt request that CalSTRS honor my father's wish and recognize me as his CalSTRS option beneficiary. My father completed the designation well over 6 months prior to his passing, making his wishes clear to me, my family, my father's advisors, including his trust attorney and CalSTRS. Sadly, due to the overwhelming weight of long and frequent hospital stays, constant care when he was home, managing the needs of my 6 children, and grieving the loss of my mother in a difficult divorce, I was unable to submit the paperwork until December of 2024. My father's passing was tragically within 6 months of that submission, and under CalSTRS rules, that means that no one now receives the beneficiary option. A supervisor from the Survivors Benefits Department at CalSTRS suggested that I ask for a chance to speak to the CalSTRS board and share my story, asking for grace and understanding. My father devoted more than 30 years as a teacher and principal. He loved his students, his colleagues, and his work. And even after moving our family to Ojai, he drove over an hour each way to continue serving the LAUSD. But at the heart of his dedication was always his family. Education has been our family tradition. My parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, all of them gave their lives to teaching and were part of the CalSTRS family. As one would expect, my father's original beneficiary was his wife, my mom, Merlin Beck. She passed away in 2021. And in his final years after my mother passed, my father made it abundantly clear that he wanted me to be his beneficiary in mom's place. This was so I could continue to care for my 6 children, his grandchildren, and preserve the family home as a place of stability. For over the 3 years after my mother's passing, I was my father's full-time caregiver. And though I held power of attorney for my father and have documentation available confirming his desire that I receive his benefits, I was overwhelmed with the extreme circumstances, and that delayed the submission to CalSTRS. I just couldn't keep up. When I finally spoke with CalSTRS in December of 2024, I was reassured with kindness that my father's wishes were clear and documented. But sadly, my father passed on January 1st of 2025. I am here today with humility, asking for your help to honor my father's clear wish that I be recognized as his beneficiary. I do understand rules and deadlines exist for fairness, but I'm asking today for compassion and grace because the circumstances I faced were extraordinary.
Thank you for your comment.
My father's intent was in that. Thank you.
That is the conclusion of public comment for item 9.
Thank you, Samantha. I'm sorry, were there any further comments, Cheryl or Dr. Getman, from you? Okay, we will adjourn the Audits and Risk Management Committee. See you guys at 9 tomorrow morning for board governance.